Thursdays with Nikki is about to go live online. Catch HOT, the iconic radio show that made Philippine FM radio talk, every Thursday on the Monster.
Streaming video on the Monster Facebook page at RX931, the Monster YouTube channel at RX931, and twitch.tv/Monster RX931.
You heard on Thursday's host, Nikki Porter. Stand by and enjoy the program.
Happiness is at the heart of tonight's discussion on Heard on Thursdays. Welcome to the show that made Philippine FM radio talk. Heard on Thursdays, only on summer's hottest, Monster RX93.1. I'm your host this evening, Nikki Porter. The pursuit of happiness. You all heard it before, right? Isn't that what we're all here for? Isn't that what it's all about? The point of living? And it shouldn't be so hard to pursue happiness, right? To claim happiness, to own it, and to be happy. But most of the time, for most of us, our enemy is no one else but ourselves. Our guest tonight has made it her mission to help people find happiness through self-love. We think that happiness is hard to get. We think happiness is not inevitable, but impossible. We think happiness is something we are not deserving of, or even capable of achieving. So our guest tonight is called the Happiness Doctor, and the approach she uses is Psychoneurology, the latest breakthrough in emotional and mental well-being. The approach is a drug-free alternative to traditional psychiatric and psychological practices, and it operates on the belief that humans aren't ill, broken, or sick like many of us seem to believe. And instead, each individual human being, is already perfect and whole, but some of us simply lack the resources or skills needed in order to deal with the challenges. In other words, we could use a little help from the feel-good doctor who won't get you hooked on bad substances and teach us just how we can live our lives better and fully. Heard on Thursdays, the Happiness Doctor, Dr. Lia Bernardo. Hi, Lia!
Hi, Nikki. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, I'm so glad you were able to see my message so that to be a part of this tonight. Oh, I'm so excited. Well, I do this with every single HOT guest I have. So I'd like to ask you, Lia, how have you kept yourself busy throughout the pandemic outside of work? Did you have any latest binges? Did you have any new hobbies that you've developed? Tell me.
Yeah, mine was cooking. I've always liked cooking, and I put it in my head that I wanted to be a chef. Of course, that didn't happen, but I went through the necessary steps to make it happen, and I enjoyed myself learning how to cook, learning techniques. I'm not one for baking, but I love cooking. And so that was my pandemic skill. And my other pandemic skill was learning how to read the tarot cards. And so I added a new service to my roster of reading tarot cards because I found out I'm pretty good at it. So that was the big revelation.
How long did it take you to learn tarot reading?
It took a while. It really took a while because, of course, like anything you learn for the first time, you get into the logic and the memorization and the traditional learning. And it's when, of course, I let go of that and started feeling into it that it became a second nature.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And in terms of cooking, any new dish that you're proud of you can finally make?
Oh, well, it's basically making paella, for instance, is something I make a pasta version of the paella, which is called fideuà, which is really easy. And so I said, I want to do the real thing. So I have been, trying to perfect that. And my Swedish meatballs and making a good carbonara. and trying to now make a carbonara that's dairy-free, which is a huge challenge.
Yeah. Carbonara is like egg, right?
I know, like it's dairy.
Well, that's awesome. I love that you were able to learn how to cook more dishes. And so I do want to know though, during the pandemic, did you notice that there was an increase in people consulting with you on how to move forward in their lives in the midst of a global crisis? Or did you see that more people were asking for help?
Okay, that's a really good question, Nikki, because we're part of a community. We created a community called Raising Frequencies, because that's my teachings. We always say raise your frequencies. And so we had an existing community called Raising Frequencies, and that quadrupled during the pandemic.
Wow.
Because on the first month, it was just a few weeks after our very first lockdown in March, I told my business partner, a lot of people are about to get depressed, me included. So I'm not saying I'm above everybody else. So I said, let's go online every day. And she goes, okay, Lia, every day is a little too much. Let's go 3 times a week and I'll set it up. So at 4 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I went online for free to give support. And and that, I think, was the best decision I ever made, because it wasn't strategic in terms of let's grow the business. It was more like, let's help the community.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it really kept the business afloat.
Yeah, and it's really great that you were able to help people. And what was like the demographic of these people that joined Raising Frequencies? Were they from different industries? Was there a specific age group?
You know, our largest audience, believe it or not, are the 23 to 30-year-olds.
Oh my God.
I know, we were shocked because like I always call myself a tita, and I always say I'm here for people my age. So it was more like from 40 to 60. That's the people I've enumerated or I've identified as my target market. And now, Nikki, we even have kids. So Raising Frequencies Kids was born, parenting. So this is when we found out that it's really for all aspects of life. It doesn't choose an age group. Self-love is something every human being needs to relearn. And I say relearn because it's something you need to remember, not something that you need to learn, because it's inherently in you. Our nature as human beings is pure love. And so the greatest revelation of this pandemic is that everyone needs it. Hence, the self-love solution was born in terms of creating it as a program.
Yeah, and it's very hard. I mean, I fall within actually the bracket of 23 to 30, right at the actually. So I want to know though, do you think people in their 20s and their 30s, do you think they're overthinking what it takes to be happy?
They're not overthinking. I think what it is that there is this collective, and I'm speaking generally, no? Of course, everyone is different, but as a collective, there's the need to be in one's purpose in life.
Okay.
And that's the common thread. What is my purpose? What is my purpose? And so for your listeners who I'm assuming are on that that bracket, my answer is your purpose is not something that gets revealed to you through an aha moment. Your purpose is something that you're already doing or like doing or want to do, but you're not doing it because you're not accepting and loving yourself just the way you are.
Oh.
So the first step is still to practice self-love. And I have 3 stages to the way we teach self-love. And the first is self-nurturing, because that's the basic. People tend to stop there, and that's just the beginning. That's just the foundation.
One of 3.
And then there's self-acceptance, and then there's self-sovereignty. And that's when you're really self-directed. And it's only when you come into self-sovereignty that you will get what we refer to as clarity of purpose. Meaning the purpose becomes so clear to you that you're not even saying, what's my purpose? Or I'm going to take this journey to find my purpose. And you don't find your purpose. It's already in you. But it needs to be clear to you.
Yeah. And out of the 3 stages that you mentioned, which do you think which should be actually the hardest? Is it the self-nurturing?
It's not necessarily the hardest. What it is that self-nurturing is essential, but it's hindered by beliefs. And this is why we work on belief systems, because a lot of times you need to nurture yourself, but you have this belief that it's selfish or that love is equal to suffering. And so when you have beliefs like that, we call them limiting beliefs, it's a lot more than a mindset. A mindset is a thought pattern. A belief is an inherent pattern for your behavior. And so when you're running a belief, you unconsciously create self-sabotage, you unconsciously create barriers to your own habits.
How are these beliefs usually created? Is it through, past experiences, or was it like through nurturing in our childhood?
You're always creating beliefs. And so your deepest core beliefs are created through your parents, number 1. Number 2, school. Number 3, peers. Number 4, media creates a lot of limiting beliefs.
Right.
And so this is why we teach people to curate what gets imprinted into their subconscious mind, because whether you realize it or not, whatever you're entertaining in your space will in fact contribute to your belief systems.
I love that we're already getting so deep into the topic. I've just scratched the surface of the introduction pa lang. Just dove deep. I love it. Well, for all the monsters who are tuned in, this is Heard on Thursdays. I have the happiness doctor with me, Dr. Lia Bernardo. And so now I want to know also, aside from for you to be able to figure out, these programs that you have so that you can help people as well. In the first place, what made you decide to have a career focus on happiness?
I was so unhappy.
True enough.
I was so unhappy. And interestingly enough, you opened the segment with the pursuit of happiness. And that's exactly where a lot of us are. We're constantly pursuing happiness.
Yeah.
And that's where I was until I realized it's not something outside of you that you run after and that you search for. It's in you, and it always has been in you.
Wow.
And so when you look inwards, not with the objective of fixing yourself, but rather with the objective of liking and accepting who you are, happiness is the result. And that happiness doesn't mean you're never going to be angry, or you're never going to be irritated, or you're never going to get mad. I mean, I get angry, and but I'm always happy, meaning the anger becomes an expression, but it does not diminish your happiness.
Oh, okay.
So happiness becomes your baseline. Like you're able to grieve and your happiness does not diminish. You're able to be sad, but you're still you're a happy person who happens to be sad at this particular moment, or irritated at this particular moment.
Yeah. So it's like kind of you have this emotion, but it doesn't bother you at like the core of the happiness that you have.
It still bothers you, and you still feel the pain, and you still go through the emotion, but you know it's not permanent, and you have the ability to flip it. We call it flipping the emotion, wherein it's your choice. See, choice is, to me at least, the most powerful force in the universe, because you can choose to choose love or fear. It's still your choice. Love and fear are there constantly.
Yeah.
And yes, the power of love is, it can move mountains, but so can fear, can make you just stop in your tracks and not move at all. And so it's really up to you what you choose for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think we always have this? We always have these polls like every year, like where's the happiest place on earth? And you know, for some, we always end up on that list. Now, I want to know also, Lia, as the happiness doctor, do you believe this to be true, that we should be on that list?
Meaning Filipinos as the happiest people on earth?
Yeah.
I totally believe that. Because no matter how terrible or how dire things are, we can laugh. We can find joy.
That's
you
true.
Notice that about Filipinos? Like we're able to poke fun at ourselves and not take ourselves too seriously. And I think really that's part of being happy. Like being able to laugh it off. I mean, it doesn't diminish the pain you're going through, but laughter can really help heal you.
For sure. It's the best medicine, apparently, they all say. Now, speaking of medicine, actually, but like, you know, not really substances, but as an educator of self-love, why did you choose psychoneurology as your approach to healing?
Okay, prior to that, I was an energy healer.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so I was certified in various energy healing modalities, and this is where I give credit to my cousin, who at that time was working as one of the as the head of executive development in a huge company in Silicon Valley. I'm not saying the name because it might get us into trouble, but long and short of it, she said, what do you want to do with your life? Like 10 years from now, where do you want to be? And I told her, I want to teach. I want to be a teacher. I don't know what I'm going to teach, but I want to teach. I want to teach what I went through. And she goes, and I want to help people. And she goes, get your PhD. And so I was looking, and everything was academic. And I'm not necessarily, I didn't like school. I just finished because I had to. And having said that, I just barely made it. But I knew that a degree was important. So I was looking for a PhD program, and everything was based on research. And my friend, Edna, was already in the program. And she said, why don't you give it a try? Because it's doing wonders for me. She goes, forget what you want to become. Do this for yourself.
Wow.
And I went and met the professor, and of course, he was exactly who I was looking for. It was just really all about lifestyle. When he said it's an entire lifestyle. It's not just a way of thinking, it's the way in which you live your life in mind, body, and spirit. Plus, the foundation of psychoneurology is ancient wisdom, which is ancient spirituality. So that's what attracted me to it. And of course, it completely changed my life. So here I am today.
Now, how does psychoneurology though, like how does it work in encouraging others to practice self-love? What are some common methods or some practices that you do so that you can encourage people to be happier?
Okay, what I've done is I've highly simplified the tenets of psychoneurology into the self-love solution through raising frequencies. So the self-love solution is the program, raising frequencies is the method that we use. And it is based on psychoneurology, but a highly simplified version wherein you move, learn, grow, create every day. So it's based on 4 major tenets. It's move, learn, grow, create. And that way, you're able to really do something for yourself every day without therapy and do it for yourself. And if you need therapy, we're here, but do it yourself first. Because it's the only way you're going to get into self-sovereignty is if you're actually creating those changes within yourself. And that wasn't enough, and so we developed the Self-Love Solution Program, which is a one-on-one teaching session between the student and the teacher, because each person is different, right? And so we integrate Move, Learn, Grow, Create into the 5 pillars of self-nurturing, and then self-acceptance and self-sovereignty.
Gotcha. All right. So for those who are interested, for all of the monsters who are interested, raising frequencies to help you just kind of live happier and figure out what it is that you need improvement on, I guess, to change the way that you think about yourself and so that you can accept and honor yourself better. You're tuning in to Heard on Thursdays. You got me, Nikki, and the Happiness Doctor with me tonight, Dr. Lia Bernardo. There's this popular phrase now, moving on from psychoneurology. There's this popular phrase that says, fake it till you make it. Now, while this statement is meant probably with good intentions, when it comes to happiness though, where do you draw the line between optimism and toxic positivity?
You know, to this day, I wonder who came up with that term called toxic positivity, because I was like, how can you even mix toxicity and positivity together? And what it is, what I've come to understand, and this may not be true for everyone, this is just my opinion on the matter, is that sometimes when people pretend to be positive, you know, it's a mask that they're wearing. Or when they're really irritating and say, see the positivity in this, and you're crying and you're distraught. And, you know, I think people need to understand that sometimes the best comfort you can give a friend or a relative or someone who's come to you is just to listen and keep quiet.
Right.
And then ask, how would you like me to support you? Do you want me to just listen? Or do you want me to give solutions? Right? Because the worst thing you can tell someone, for instance, who just lost a loved one, is that now you have an angel in heaven.
Oh my God.
Keep quiet. Or you're going through a a disease and something. How are you today? I mean,
Yeah. So true.
and I know they mean well, but there is always a flip side to everything. But sometimes you have to use compassion, and I think compassion is what's needed here. Because when you start saying, well, look at the bright side, could have been worse.
Oh my gosh, I've heard that before. Ay, sus.
There's a time and place for everything. And there's a time when somebody's just so in pure sorrow or in pure pain. All they want is a nice hug. And that's how you can be present. You don't have to say anything. And it's when we say something that's so out of place. 1. 2, it's the promotion that you're always happy. and that nothing phases you. And I think people just need to give it authenticity. When you are in your authenticity, you never have to pretend, nor do you have to worry about your image, because what you're doing is you're just sharing who you are with people. My philosophy is, if you don't like what I'm posting, that's what the unfollow button is for.
Right. So true.
I mean, I don't think it's in anyone's place to comment badly on a person. My opinion is, it's their page. They can do whatever they want. That's freedom of speech and freedom of expression. You don't like it, press unfollow. But don't tell them that what they're doing is not right or that they need to be positive. If they want to be negative, that's their choice, but you don't have to read it.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think though, like in at least the term that we are familiar with, toxic positivity, in some way, do you think this is also a form of gaslighting?
And while I don't like to label, because gaslighting has been used so many times, but yeah, it is. It's making you feel that what you're feeling is not valid.
Yeah, for sure.
Because why don't you look at it this way? Because this way is happier.
No way, that doesn't fit.
There's a time and it invalidates a person. And anything that invalidates a person is not in their honor, nor is it in your honor. Right?
That's true. And for those for us who probably aren't aware though, are there some things that we should take note of so we can be self-aware at least? If we are displaying toxic positivity, like what are some common examples that people don't really know is actually toxic positivity, but turns out it actually is?
I would rather say invest in liking who you are, so that instead of attaching yourself to what you should do or not do, I'm not for anything should or ought to do. I think everything needs to really come from your authenticity and your frequency. And you'll find that when you are so at home with yourself, when somebody comes to you for help, you'll actually do the right thing for that person because there's no lack in you. So you're not even getting triggered or hurt by what this person is going through, because you're so whole already that you understand that you're just there for that person. So it becomes a true act of love, as opposed to, am I supposed to say this or am I not supposed to say that? It's genuine. And then the exchange becomes more genuine, wherein people should normalize telling people, this is not okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Or I would rather not talk about this right now.
That's true. That's true.
Or I really am not taking calls regarding this right now.
Yeah, that space is important for sure, because sometimes people will just pry into your life when you're not ready, and it's just it can be such a burden for that person who isn't ready at all to talk about it.
Absolutely, but it's you can't change that person, but you can change yourself by creating those boundaries so
True.
that people don't trespass those boundaries. Because feeling bad about what they said is not going to solve anything. But telling them no is, because hopefully they learn their lesson too, but that's not on you.
Yeah.
And you're able to express your truth.
Gotcha. And I love what you said earlier about there is no lack in you. I think that's something that a lot of us have to remember. Even when I heard it, I was like, oh, like, it's kind of just like that realization that, there's so many factors outside that make you feel like you're insufficient, you're not enough. But I think it's a very important thing to lean into the truth that is that, we are enough, and we are that we don't lack anything. We don't lack anything. We are whole. It's a beauty.
If you're feeling lack, you will do things that will come from lack, including hurt other people.
Oof. There we go for all the monsters that are tuned in. This is like a therapy session for myself as I'm interviewing the happiness doctor, Dr. Lia Bernardo. Having so much fun learning about all these things. Definitely happiness, toxic positivity. And now I want to bring attention to your well-being group at MAPREMA. So you do offer racing frequencies, which is, you said, it's a method. And
yes,
I read
also
that
a class.
Yes, and it's a class, and it has, in the description I read it has something to do with vibrations. So what vibrations is it that you're referring to?
Love, of course. And frequency or vibration is really how you feel about yourself at any given point
Okay.
in time. And so we call it calibration to your frequency should be, the few times we say should be your primary priority and your focus at all times. Because that makes you highly internal. And when your frequency is low, when your frequency doesn't feel as good, let's not go low or high. When your frequency doesn't feel good, ask yourself, what is needed here? So do I need to move a little bit? Do I need to sleep? Do I need to actually just have time off? Do I need to go for a swim? Do I need to meditate? Do I need to be in gratitude? What is needed here? Because if you don't go there, I promise you, you will create drama. You will project on other people, and it's just going to cause conflict. If you ask me, the number one cause of conflict is not the lack of communication, but acting when you're not at your highest or your best frequency.
Gotcha. Because not working and not being at your best frequency does suggest like the whole like lack of communication, or that you're communicating, well, I guess not in the right way that you should.
Yes.
Do.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Like defensiveness or gaslighting, as you said. That all just comes from not having a relationship with yourself.
Right.
Or negating yourself.
That's so true. And so for those who might be interested in the programs that you have, the personal development, I believe that's in the website for at MAPREMA. what do you think, or which should one take, or what's the so you have like the self-love solution and you have racing frequencies.
Yeah.
Which should I take, or what are the benefits of each, so that people would know like which one they should take?
I always tell people, take a racing frequencies class first.
Okay.
So that you can experience our method. We have one on Tuesday. It's once a month. We run it. And if you want, let me know, and I'd love to have you there. We run it every first Tuesday of the month. Our first live class will be this Tuesday, so I'd love to meet you in person. And let me know. It's going to be at the Kabbalah Center in Kalayaan, right next to Rockwell, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And that's a great way to immerse yourself in our frequency and see if it's a match or not a match, because we're not a match for everyone. It has to match what you want and where you want to take your life. From there, I recommend that if you like that, then do a trial session for the self-love solution, because the self-love solution is a 12-session program. It's a big commitment. But I always say that it's like your greatest investment in yourself.
True.
Because it's a program wherein you will really leave the program with skills and resources to last you for the rest of your life. And book a trial session if that's what you're interested in. And everyone can just go through the website. It's atmaprema.global. And there are links there that will connect you to register to the Racing Frequencies class or to book a trial session for the self-love solution.
All right, that's awesome. For all the monsters who are interested, atmaprema.global for the website, and at Atmaprema Wellbeing Group for the Instagram, just to get a glimpse also of what it is they do and what they post also on their socials, just to pique your interest if you guys are tuning in. Now, I want to move now to a topic that I've been wanting to just talk about like on the show for Women's Month, which I feel like is one of the major problems that women encounter these days, and it's imposter syndrome. So it doesn't really matter how successful one may be, Oprah, Meryl Streep, any other award-winning actress or artist, you can be struck with imposter syndrome. So why, Lia, why does this happen, especially to women?
Because there is a running belief that we're not good enough, and that we're not worthy of our dreams, or that we don't deserve the success that we have, because we've always been taught to dim our lights so that other people become comfortable with us. And so that imposter syndrome is a very real thing. And I ran it for a while. And I'll share with you how I got over it. And again, there are many different ways, but I got over it by practicing self-sovereignty. And it happened when I was about to give a lecture to a room full of psychiatrists on self-love.
Wow.
And I had to get over it really, really quickly, or else I would have botched the entire lecture, right?
Right.
And I think the universe put me in front of the most intimidating people to me, medical doctors and psychiatrists at that. And I had to give my talk, and they loved it. They loved it because they were saying, I need that. And that's when I realized, had I curled up and felt inferior to these people, that I wouldn't have been able to help them realize that as caregivers, they need to care for themselves first and foremost.
Mm-mm.
And that's when we started talking to medical practitioners, because it's really, we call it self-care for better patient care. A module actually came out of that.
Oh, I love it. Something good came out of it when you broke through. That's amazing.
Yeah, but you really have to make it non-negotiable to yourself to believe in yourself. And my running pattern is that if you put me in a room full of physicists, I will freeze. And so I have to tell myself, I'm not here to discuss physics. I'm here to talk about self-love.
Yeah, definitely. And this isn't to neglect also men, but I want to know, since most of the people that I know who encounter imposter syndrome are women, are there cases of men who that also experience it?
Absolutely. I always say men need self-love too.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, if you're listening, because my students are 90%, or actually 99.9% women.
Okay.
So I'd like to call in the men, because men need self-love too.
Yeah, that's so true. They grew up with this like mentality, or this like nurturing of like, don't show your feelings, and don't express your feelings. Also, maybe anger.
Yes.
Yeah. So definitely, I really agree with that. And like they should be. So in your programs, like, will it help also? I know this is Women's Month, but I also want to speak for the men as well. Will it help them open up to their emotions, or just be more transparent in the way that they live and how they feel?
Yes, because at the end of the day, we're not telling you to be transparent to the whole world or vulnerable to the whole world. We're telling you to be transparent and vulnerable to yourself about yourself. You need to broadcast that.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And at the end of the day, as a human being, whether you're male or female or whatever you identify with, as long as you are a human being, your happiness is based on the quality of your relationships.
True.
And so, invest in yourself, because that's the only way to have harmonious relationships.
Yeah. Totally agree. That's why I am also a work in progress.
Oh, aren't we all?
Fair enough. That's why I might see you next Tuesday. Let's get started.
Love to see you there.
That's no. I love the invitation, by the way. Now, for talking about imposter syndrome, there are many of us who carry also traumatic experiences which manifest, self-doubt and insecurities in our capabilities, even when we've grown so much from that particular past, from that particular trauma. How do we ground ourselves when we're reaching for a particular goal, like a healthy relationship, a promotion, a new job, a new business? Like, are there methods that we can do to shift that kind of pattern that we have in our brains?
Raise your frequency and love yourself more. And that's always going to be my answer.
Yeah.
Because when you love yourself and when you're in your straight strength, and that's what we refer to when a person is in self-love, you're in your straight strength, you will find that not everything is for you, and you're okay with that. And that you understand that everything that comes your way, whether it's difficult or pleasant, it has a learning to teach you. Everything is a learning experience, and that life is about experience. And most importantly, pain is like the guarantee of being human, experiencing pain. There's no way you can evade pain. But when you understand that, you will understand that pain will catapult you to growth. What we humans have invented is this thing called guilt and shame,
Yes.
because we try so hard to avoid pain, and that causes all sorts of problems. And that everything you just narrated is a result of guilt and shame.
Yeah, and I like that you brought that up, because I learned that actually through Brené Brown with her TED Talk as well. Which she
Yes.
talked about all of that.
Yes.
Her viral TED Talk. And it hit a lot of people. So I think this is something that's worth exploring as well, that, guilt and shame, it's there, but, pain is, I guess, inevitable as a human being.
Yeah, so feel the pain. Allow the pain to teach you what it needs to teach you, because it's always going to lead to growth. In psychoneurology, we always say that a master is defined by how many times he or she gets up after every fall.
Oh.
It's the resilience that defines you as a person, because the falling down is assured. You can either stay down or get up.
That's true. And that's very important also in terms of choices. Do you stay down or do you get up? I love that. Now, I also want to know, what's your opinion on self affirmations? Like, we've seen a lot of it on social media, how they do like their reels and videos and everything. Do they work in your opinion? And if you have any favorites, if you think that they do work, do you have any favorites that you like to tell yourself if you're feeling down?
I do believe in them, and I do believe that with consistency, it's an easy way for people to change their own beliefs. Okay? Because as therapists, we can do it for you really quickly, but if you want to do it yourself, affirmation is the way to go. And what I tell my students is every day, look in the mirror, into your own eyes, and say, I am enough. That alone will already change your life. You may not believe it immediately, but said often enough, it will change your belief systems. Rather than criticize your arms or your stomach when you see yourself in the mirror, just keep repeating, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough. And you will believe it eventually. And then more importantly, you'll start acting as if you are enough.
I love that. That's very important. Again, we do not lack anything for all the monsters who've tuned in. If there's one thing that I've learned from this interview, it's that we are enough and we do not lack anything. And I really appreciate everything that Dr. Lia Bernardo has shared. The Happiness Doctor, delivering happiness, or how to be happy for all the monsters, or Heard on Thursdays. So I really do appreciate all of the insight and all the lessons. However, I feel like it's just like scratching the surface still. So for all of us, we're all a work in progress, and hopefully you do have more people coming into Atma Prema so that they can learn how to honor and accept and love themselves more. And so with that, I would like to invite you to actually invite the monsters to Atma Prema, and any last minute advice on just like how to be happy from the Happiness Doctor herself.
Just be you.
Well, how apt.
Whatever it is you're doing, just be you. And revel in the fact that there is no other you except you. So stop trying to be like everyone else and stop trying to fit in. Just celebrate who you are and honor who you are, because there's no one like you.
There we go. I love that. And I love that you're always laughing also while we're talking. It's like she is happy. and hopefully we can all be happier as well after this. But thank you so much, Lia, for joining me for Heard on Thursdays. I super appreciate you accepting my invite. However late, I think I messaged you, or last minute I messaged you. So very lovely to meet you. Hopefully I get to meet you soon as well for that next Tuesday's appointment. I'm gonna write it down in my planner. But for all the monsters who have tuned in, this has been Heard on Thursdays. Don't forget to follow us on our socials and keep it locked.
The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of the station or its management. Heard on Thursdays, the iconic radio talk show that made Philippine FM Radio Talk winner of KBP Golden Dove Awards for Best Magazine Program and Best Magazine Program Host. HOT. Heard on Thursdays. On air Thursday late night and streams on the Monster Facebook page and YouTube channel at RX931 and on twitch.tv/Monster RX931. Only from Manila's hottest, Monster RX93.1.